a pleasant Sunday to you. Welcome to closing day of the thoroughbred season here at Lone Star Park. It won't be too long, though, before we're running the short liners. The fall meeting of champions for American quarter horses kicks off on September 6th. We're starting a little earlier than in some past years, so just past Labor Day. But alongside Rick Lee, track handicapper, I'm Jim Byers. For the last time in 2024, most likely we will get together since you don't usually do the pre-race show on quarter horse nights. So in advance, hope you have a good rest of the summer, and fans can follow your picks. Is it through the track website, through LoneStarPark.com?
I don't think the simulcast picks are there. You have to be in the barn book to
the barn book
get the Saratoga and Del Mar.
Yeah.
But I have selections for all the major meets at the barn book.
And the barn book place to be for wagering on simulcasting. Once we shut down here, as they're open throughout the year with free admission and parking. 9 races today, coming off a day with some really interesting Texas bred stakes. Yesterday, we saw another great renewal of the sisterly rivalry between No Mas Tequila and I'm a Lucky Charm. I'm a Lucky Charm won by about this much.
Yeah.
Looked like less than that on video because within a stride or so after the wire, the older mare was past her, but that's not what they pay off on. Some other good performances yesterday. Great day for Eric Asmussen. And, of course, Steve rolled up. And Jade Gellner runs 1-2 in a stake.
Yeah,
and wins a couple of them yesterday.
Yeah, really good. And on the Buyer scale, the big win was More Victory, who won a very fast race. It upped his best career Buyer by 8 to 10 points. So that was on the final time of each race. That was the surprise there. Not that he won, but how fast he won.
Let's get on to today's races. We're fast and firm. First race, a $53,000 purse for this maiden special weight. I don't think I've ever seen a $53,000 maiden pot here. 5.5 furlongs. These are 2-year-old fillies. Scratch number 7, Lasco Lady. Asmussen has a strong hand here, but, I don't necessarily love either of his fillies, but both can improve. I've got them 1-2. So do you. I mean, are they the most reliable Asmussens we've seen all meet? Maybe not, but in this group, they could easily run 1-2.
Yeah, 25 looks pretty good. Steve thought enough to enter in a stake yesterday, scratched out. Has finished second in both career starts. Then the first start, finishes second. The third-place finisher, Midnight Humor, comes back to win. Last start, finishes second. The winner, My Boy Vander, is another Gellner who seems to have a lot of good 2-year-olds this year. And that filly was pretty impressive, too. So now the third start, off a layoff again, scratching out of a stake, inside post. She breaks fast every time. It's just come catch me if you can. I do want to mention Secret Verse. Finished second last time out, as we mentioned, probably thought she won. The most impressive 2-year-old winner of the season won that race and earned a mid-70s Buyer, by far the fastest 2-year-old number of the year, improving it. And like we've said, when a trainer gets hot, it seems like everything in his barn starts going good, and Caldwell's had a great 2 days at this week. So who's to say Secret Verse won't jump up and run a vastly improved race?
Yeah. One thing about 25, her debut was against boys, so when she came back after running that nice race against boys and face fillies, I was all over her last time. I'm not sure how much she's going to love that extra half furlong, but if anyone can get her that extra distance, it's the Asmussen barn. They always seem to have that extra little conditioning reserve in them. As far as Tensaw Bolt goes, I picked her last time. I don't know. Fast Medicine, who was disqualified from that win, I think did come back and I forget how he did. Did he come back and win?
Third. I think
he was heavily favored. I think I picked him and he ran up. He didn't win. So I don't know about her, but nonetheless, interesting race.
Good way to kick off the day. I think it's a good start.
If you're on Team Asmussen, you got a couple to pick from there. But if you're trying to beat favorites, you might have a shot in that one. But Colson Geldings, 2 years of age, compete in race number 2. This is an open race, $33,000 the purse here. Now, these are always interesting. The end of the meet, 2-turn turf races for 2-year-olds.
Yep.
Fascinating stretch drives because you're just trying to project on who's going to want that 2 turns and turf. None of them have done any of that.
Yeah, Danny Pish has won in each race, a first-time starter trying 2 turns on the grass. I picked the last one, but not this one, even though I could see Travaggio running a really nice race. I went with the 5, Game Runner. For career debut was pretty solid effort, finishing 3rd. I liked that Big Racy, the runner-up, came back to win, and the 4th-place finisher, My Loot, came back to win. So that's what we call a key race in this business. The pedigree's good, Game winner. Didn't try turf, but he was a very talented runner, very precocious 2-year-old, won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. And Game Winner had a turf pedigree, but Baffert had this horse so good on the main track, he never tried turf, but certainly turf pedigree. And he's also a half to 3 turf winners. So the dam's been throwing turf winners. So I really think that 285 is a little misleading on the rating of Game Runner's turf pedigree. I'm assuming you won't like the lack of morning activity with Game Runner.
I hate it. And I hate the fact that the barn waited almost a month to work him, and then they waited a month to work him again. So just 2 random works mixed in for a barn that, for as much success as it's had, and it's been one of the leading barns in the country for 10 years or so since I've been back in the sport, it's really struggling right now. And them bringing this horse back off a 2-month layoff, off 2 scattered works, I'm staying away from him, even though recognizing that, if he runs well, he could win.
Yeah, I mean, and Harry Hernandez, the boy, that's been his go-to rider. And on April 24th, before he debuted, I mean, for a 2-year-old unraced, that was showing some stamina there, 5/8 and 101 and 1.
Yeah.
So to me, there was a lot to like. I don't worry. If it was anyone but Broberg, as far as the lack of activity in the mornings, we went weeks without seeing a Broberg horse work at all, none of them. So I'm not sure what was going on there, but I'm not as concerned just because that's kind of his MO.
Interesting Broberg, too, that his owner paid $410,000 for this horse as a yearling. That, typically his barn hasn't delved into that type of bloodstock. I love King of the Disco in here, number 3. He's blinkers on, which is not in the program, but he's blinkers on. He is a first-time gelding. He is a half-brother to a, 2.5-mile steeplechase Grade 1 winner. So I don't think the pedigree, the pedigree screams as long as they can go for this guy, at least on the bottom side. Now, the Copper Bullet side, I don't know about that. I don't know how much turf marathoning he was ever going to do. But King of the Disco, his first race, he was very sluggish early. It was a very, very poor performance. But, like I said, there's a horse named Rampoli Plan, who's a half-brother, who's a Grade 1 steeplechaser. There's also a half-brother named More Ice, who has won 9 career races, all on the turf. Give me King of the Disco in the first.
Yeah, and I will mention Travaggio's got a very good turf pedigree, and that July 7th work was by himself, and the turn time, I always say it's an automatic, for me, pick, and sometimes bet if they can go 24. He went 24 and 3, but he went out another 13 seconds, which for a 2-year-old, I thought that was a pretty solid gate work. So, I'm back to I just remember Pitt. I know his numbers aren't that great first-time turf, but I remember him winning these final day, 2-turn races. Pitt has won several of them over the years, and it seems like he waited on this horse for this spot. So I'm just throwing it out. It's a 4th pick for me, but I really feel like he's more than capable.
My second pick, Ricky Rooster, one breeding note about him. His dam was 3 for 17 and a stakes winner in graded stakes place, but all on the dirt. But he does have a half-brother named Zillionaire who won 5 races all on the turf. There are some other sibs that couldn't run at all, but there was one sibling that did run well for Ricky Rooster. So, race 3, scratch the 4, Prince of Mischief. This is another of those $53,000 maiden special weight races for 2-year-olds going 5.5.
Yeah, I picked Billy Dixon, who I made 5-1. I'm kind of conflicted on this horse for a couple of reasons. First of all, I do like the workouts. I've seen several of them. The last work, the 48 and 4, he went 24 and 1. All right, that's right on the cutoff for me, making him an automatic pick and bet. The Sire gift box was a Grade 1 winner, made over $1 million. Another thing I like is he's been working almost every time he breezes. He's breezed with a horse named Cowboy Sense, who's another unraced horse who, after that July 6th, this past weekend, worked a minute and change. So Cowboy Sense is really, I think, a promising colt. He's actually an Arkansas bred. So when Oaklawn rolls around, Cody Autry bred this horse, Cowboy Sense. But I think Billy Dixon's been working with a horse that's very fast. And when he worked last time, Cowboy Sense opened up on him, and Billy Dixon caught him at the end of that gate workout. This is a big, long-striding horse. I put route, ? My concern is 5.5's a little short. You'll see him when he gets out there, Billy Dixon. He's one of those large horses with a long stride about him. My only concern is, can he get up in time? But I think he's very talented. So I like that. A horse I didn't pick and I made 8-1 Wayland's Guitar. I do want to mention early this year, back in May, he was showing a lot of speed and company with some other Ashfords who have turned out to be, pretty nice 2-year-olds. I didn't see the most recent gate work. I wish I'd have seen that when someone else was clocking him. But Wayland's Guitar, I think, is very quick. So an interesting horse. It might be a price.
Yeah, I used him second. I'm going with an Ashford father and son exacta here. As far as Wayland's Guitar goes, I don't know if you put any stock in a great-grandmother, but his great-grandmother was a 2-time Grade 1 winner, a great sprinter named Stop Traffic from quite a few years ago. But because son Tristan, his numbers aren't as good as dad Ray on first-timers, I'm going to Warhammer here. Nothing special in the pedigree. He will race on Lasix. They left off the L1 designation. He's a first-time starter, but they still run as L1s. I like the work pattern. There's some quick works in there. Barn does well with firsters. I took him over Wayland's Guitar, and Multiple Opinions, who was gelded since his last race, gets off the rail, draws outside. He completely missed the break last time. Absolutely completely. Just broke slowly. So I doubt this Asmussen runner is going to break slowly twice in a row. Right. So watch out for Multiple Opinions.
Yeah, and I made Warhammer and Wayland's Guitar the same odds because they've been working in company.
I figured they probably were.
Most of the time it's been a 3-team set they've been working with. These are 2 of the 3s. I couldn't separate them. They work together every time. They finish together every time.
Hard to separate. That's why I went with Ray, because his numbers are better
right.
with first.
Yeah, I could
see that. That may be anecdotal. May not mean anything, but that's how I separate.
Yeah, I sense that they're both going to run big or they're both going to be mid-pack.
Yeah.
Because they're equal ability, at least in the morning. So I like this race.
Yeah,
it's a large field of 11 with the 1 scratch, and it's a great betting race.
Another big field here in race number 4. 14 drew in, but 2 scratched. Scratched the 4 Tito. Scratch the 11 Lava Moon. 4th race, Texas bred maiden claimers, 7/8 of a mile.
Yeah, and manifested, boy, it's tough to make a horse even money that, has been no lower than 8-1 in 4 starts.
Yeah.
But, you got to realize, finished 2nd and 3rd in maiden special weight races, now at the absolute bottom of the maiden claiming rank. So those buyer figures of 47.52 on the main track, are much the fastest dirt numbers in the race. He proved last time, 5.5 going second. You think, well, how will he handle 7? Well, I put that to rest when you see the 1 mile race where he, battled for the lead and was only beaten 1 length. So I don't think 7/8 will be his undoing. There'll be other reasons maybe for his undoing, but he sits very well at this class level. I actually thought I made a mistake with Moral Trendsetter. I kind of panicked getting ready. Then I realized, those 2 really good races were turf races. So I thought I made a huge mistake making him 20-1. But then I went back, all of his dirt numbers are pretty weak. So he still may not be, just based off buyers, I probably got a little careless with his number, though.
I'm with Manifested, too. Don't have much to add. Back quickly. On form, it's a no-brainer. This bunch is not, this level is not very consistent sometimes. I'm worried about his short odds. One horse that I use third that might run better is Trade Traveler on the outside. Again, it doesn't mention it in the comment. I mean, it does say he veered out, but the most important thing was he completely was flat-footed, missed the break last time, and never got into it. He could run a little bit better here today in a race where it's not going to take a lot of improvement to factor. Race 5. Here's the 2-year-old filly version of the 7.5 furlong turf race for fillies that have never been on turf or gone 2 turns. These are maidens, and I see you're going with a firster on the outside for Pish. You're using the Pish angle. I'm going the Calhoun to the turf angle with Insta Speed, and you're going to go with Tara Town. And I got some notes about her dam, but you may have some too. So you do it first.
Well, I mean, I had to pick one of the 2 Pishes, Travaggio or this one. Because I liked something else in the first turf race. I went with Tara Town here. The Sire Motown was a great one. Turf winner, won the Hollywood Derby. So you got, at least some turf on the top, on the bottom. I don't have a lot of detail other than, she certainly was bred to turf. The workouts have been solid. And again, Pish wins, he wins these races for 2-year-olds going a route of ground. So just based on the pedigree, the good works, and Pish's history, I went that way. One thing I was going to ask you, the owner says Scott Barton. I think I remember him being a rider. Do you remember his name popping up in this region?
Scott Barton.
I might be wrong, but I thought.
I mean, of course, there were Bartons with Donna and Patty Barton.
Yeah, I
could
thought
he
he
have
rode.
been related
I
to
thought
them?
he rode at Remington and some Oaklawn, but I
had a long gap where I was doing baseball and hockey, where if he did ride in like the early 2000s, I wouldn't have been aware of it.
Okay, not a big issue though.
We could look it up, but
yeah.
Terratown, also the Dam, Tale Untold, started her career in England and won a race over there, and then came over to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, ran 11th in that race. And her career wasn't all that distinguished, but she was good enough to do that. I took Insta Speed, slow works at the Copper Crown Training Center, which is near Evangeline Downs in Louisiana. I don't know how fast they normally work there, but up to speed. The Dam won a couple of races on turf, has produced a number of nice horses. Lycan, who's made $346,000, but hasn't won on the turf. 6th Anniversary is another half-brother, 3 for 8 on the turf, and a horse named the Goodness of Snakes, who's earned almost $250,000, but none of it on the turf. So I'm going to take a little flyer on Insta Speed over Crafty Ant, who's been training at LAD, and normally I'm not as excited about those Asmussens as I am the ones that train here. But race 6. Scratch number 6, Tigers and Bears. Scratch number 9, Espionage. That was both of our original top picks. This is the first non-maiden race of the day. Optional claiming $18,000, 6.5 furlongs.
Yeah, a tough race. I went with Bandera Azteca. I scratched into this 5-year-old, and no reason to think he can't win. He won a straight $22,000 claiming race at Oaklawn in April. Really game fashion with today's rider Harry Hernandez aboard. Last 4 starts, 1 at Oaklawn, 2 here. He's finished second. So finished second in 3 of his last 4. Lost leads, so he's had a couple really tough beats. One June 16th, one May 11th. 6.5 furlongs. This is probably as far as he wants to go, but he's got a good, he's tactical as far as his speed goes. Likes to win races. He's won 9 of 32 starts. Again, it's Broberg, who's been, a little sluggish of late, but nevertheless, really good form. The horse that narrowly beat him last time Without a Trace did come back to win. So, in a race that I think is pretty open, I like Bandera Azteca. I will mention a long shot in here, Steinbeck.
Yeah, I was just going to mention him. I used him second.
Okay, he had a really on June 30th. He had a really nice work by himself, 47-3. The turn time was good, and I was thinking to myself, this is a lightly raced horse. He's probably going to win. I had no idea he was a 4-time winner, and he was going to be in with Espionage, Bandera Azteca. So, he's got some races way down early last year that are good enough to maybe win this race. But his recent form in Kentucky in the fall wasn't very good. But I did want to mention, in case he jumps up and runs a big one, that was a legitimate work, June 30th, 47-3.
And he followed that up with the best of the morning work. I don't know if it's on your
mud.
PPs.
Yeah,
in the mud on July 8th. His general work pattern has been pretty good for this comeback. And I like the fact that Asmussen had him at one time, claimed him in a year ago at Saratoga, lost him the very first time that he started him, and then he claimed him back. Mm-hmm. So obviously Steve thought he could win with him. I've got him as my second pick. It might be a chance to get an Asmussen at a decent price.
Yeah, you don't get that very often. Though it has happened at the meet.
Yeah, it has.
You had one.
I had
was
one.
It Equus?
Yeah, wound
Who
up.
paid big.
Paid pretty well.
Yes,
yeah.
Sure did.
Coming off a race where he did everything wrong, especially at the clubhouse turn, but he improved the next time out. The seventh race. Good one here. A mile on turf. Really good filly allowance. Scratch number 3, Dulce Amanacer YG. Sean Davis, the big hand in this one.
Yeah, I went with the 5 Glenall for Sean Davis. Second Sean Davis for me of the day. This horse last year for Sean Davis won the Wasted Tears and won very impressively. Then immediately was given to a different trainer, then given to a different trainer. Back in Sean's hands again for this meeting and ran 2 nice races in the Ouija board, finishing 4th, finishing 2nd, behind a very sharp winner for Safi Joseph Liban.
Yeah, you picked her, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
You did.
And
that was a very shrewd pick.
And she won so easy.
She probably paid
wow.
more than she should have.
Yeah. So that was a very impressive race. Likes this course and really in good form, facing finally rivals that she should be able to handle. I did note that she ran several times without Lasix between between the Wasted Tears and then her races here this stake season. So you know some of those were good, some of them were not so good. But now back on Lasix again, where she's remarkably consistent.
Yeah, she was running out in graded races out west and whatnot. One thing about these trainer changes, George Sharp, the owner, based out of Florida, but he has horses all over the place. Mm-hmm. So when he rotates his horses around, they go to Tim Yachtine or they come here to Sean Davis. So it's not like they're saying, get this horse out of my barn type of trainer change.
Right.
It's more the ownership. George Sharp, he's a national type owner. And those races like the Royal Heroine and the Wilshire, I mean, the Wilshire used to be run at Hollywood, and I think it was maybe even a grade 1 or grade 2, probably a grade 2 back in the day. She didn't disgrace herself in those, but was a giant long shot. I think she's, in a much more winnable spot here. That said, she sky's the limit for Karen Jacks, a very hard trier. It is hard to find a race where she doesn't just lay it all on the line. I like her as a second pick in here because she always tries. Cinnamon Face, another one that, has a good style for this turf course, likes to lay close. Most of the winners yesterday were laying quite close to the pace on both courses. So it's an interesting race there.
Yeah, very good race.
I was not as high on Colors of the Wind as some, but, I mean, certainly the company that she's kept, even though the finishes haven't been as good, but you have to keep in mind she's been facing some really tough ones. And at the fairgrounds,
yeah,
too.
Finished third in all the Lone Star Stakes. The 2 stakes behind Glenall and those last year, and then third again this year in the Wasted Tears.
Yeah.
So, she's got a knack for finishing third in stake races.
Yeah. Just a notch below those absolute best in this region in the turf stakes. Race 8, 7/8 of a mile. First level allowance. These are 3-year-olds and up, non-winners of a race other than or non-winners of 2.
Yeah, and Classic Moment cleared that non-winners of 2 for 50,000 condition at Oaklawn on March 8th. A really tenacious win, was bet down after a long layoff. So that Steve Asmussen's care there was claimed by Diodoro's barn, ran June 24th, had a higher condition than this one, and finished second behind Big Boo, who didn't take a lot of money.
No, 12-1.
It was your Calvin Burrell special there. Just everyone outruns Calvin, and then he circles them and catches them at the end. So Calvin doesn't win a lot of races today, but this race set up for him.
Did you go back and watch that race?
I looked at the chart.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
watched
I did.
the race. I didn't think he ran. I didn't think Classic Moment was quite as game as the comment indicates, because Big Boo ran right by him, but still a nice comeback effort off that layoff for him.
Yeah, I mean he beat all this other speed in the race. Then he was left vulnerable to Big Boo. I think this field it's definitely no better than that field, and I think he wore front bandages for the first time in his life in that Louisiana Downs race. I'll be interested to see if he comes out today in those or not. But he drew outside, so 7/8 of a mile. Again, you see him that he ran a mile and 1/16 a mile, earlier in his career. So I think third start after a very long layoff, I don't think the 7/8 will be as undoing. If he gets beat, he just gets outrun.
Yeah, he should be a little tighter here, second off the layoff, I would think. I went with most Saturdays. I mean, he was rightfully disqualified last time, but it just seemed like unnecessary that he, crossed over to the inside and cut off Colomillo, who was elevated to the win. It just seemed like most Saturdays was good enough that if he had kept a straight course, he probably would have won. But the fact was he didn't. He fouled Colomillo and had to come down. He's been sharp. I like the turn back angle, so I'm going to stick with him. I think Stand Proud is an interesting proposition. Very sharp at LAD for Ernie Witt. Comes now to Sarah Davidson. And, this horse, they lined up to bet this horse at Louisiana Downs.
Yeah,
I mean,
they did.
1-5 and 3-5 and throttled the competition. Maybe he got good there off that layoff. But maybe he can hold that sharpness. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to mention on your pick, most Saturdays, this could be the owner title for End Zone.
Exactly.
They're tied right now, and I don't think Steve owns a horse in this.
He only has Uncle Burley in here.
Oh, that's the only one.
So this could decide it. Uncle Burley, I picked him last time. It was a little bit of an ambitious pick. He was squeezed out slowly, didn't get a very good start. He gets back to the dirt. I didn't like him enough to pick him back. But, this could be the showdown, or could be a split owner's title.
Yeah, and the late runner in here is Ain't That a Kick. I'm mentioning him, one, because if the pace is fast enough, but Ralph Rampolini owns a horse. Mary Rampolini, all of you know that follow daily racing. She's been the correspondent covering Lone Star and Oaklawn for many years now. So Mary's brother Ralph owns this one. So
that is her brother? I was wondering about that.
Yeah, so I always pull for the Rampolini family. I love them, and hopefully this horse can get it done.
And on to the 9th. Texas-bred filly allowance, 1 mile on the turf. Scratch number 10, Wicked Song. This is an interesting group of runners. I mean, you got On Wing, who, just ran out of her gourd last time, 5/8 on the turf. And you got kind of a mixed bag of horses that never really factor much, and some speed. I didn't know really what to make of this, but you and I both ended up on Ruby Cantu.
Okay, yeah. I made Gracie's Kitten favored because at this same condition she was 4-5 last time and ran a solid race. The previous 2 races were on dirt. Always takes money on turf. My question for Gracie's Kitten, why I picked against the one I made the favorite, is it looks like she loves that Houston turf course. Her races here don't seem to be near as good. She's yet to hit the board over our turf course, yet at Houston, she almost won a stake. So
she's kind of become one that just runs in one place.
Yes.
I mean, she just plods along, and so, she's going to surprise me if she wins, but she's got credentials.
Yeah,
she's just one of those that just kind of runs with the herd, at least this meet.
Yes. So it came down to me, Ruby Cantu, On Wing, and it's hard to separate them. I mean, Ruby Cantu did pass her On Wing going a mile 2 starts back, but maybe she went too fast. She comes back On Wing sprinting, runs very fast and wins. Now she has another opportunity to carry her speed this far. I just went with Ruby Cantu. Since sprinting, she did edge On Wing.
Yeah.
She's proven around 2 turns. She's lightly raced, getting better. It just seemed like the way to go in what I think is a pretty tough race.
Yeah, I agree. It's a tough race. I think she might get a good trip, Ruby Cantu. She might be quick enough to lay close, but if On Wing, who had a very slow work on July 9th, I mentioned that yesterday. I hate really slow, super slow works. I don't remember the horse that I brought that up about or how they ran yesterday.
Yeah, you did mention it yesterday.
I do not care much for works that are like off the chart slow right before a race. just like, if you had a practice the day before a game and your quarterback was awful and you couldn't block anybody, would you really feel confident going into the game the next day? I mean, anyway, Ruby Cantu might get a nice trip. I thought she was really a quite handy winner last time. And so as much as I can really firmly get behind anybody in this race, because it is very competitive, that's who I took as well. All right, there's a little carryover in the high five today in the 9th race, but it'll all have to be paid out today. Mandatory payouts of any wager, the pick 4 in the high five that has a carryover provision. So stay with us for that. Rick, as always, appreciate it.
Yeah, and I do want a quick shout-out to the horsemen at this meeting. I mean, we really do have outstanding stables that stable here over this spring and summer meeting. I'm very thankful they make the quality of racing here, good.
Good field size, too. We're up a little bit over 8 horses per race. Good field size, even, without the national exposure some tracks get. Really, really good racing.
Yeah, really do.
And look for our horses to run at Remington or wherever else they may go, and hopefully they'll run well. Thanks a lot to you as well for looking in tonight or today and all season long, and good luck with your wagers here on this Sunday. We have an exciting announcement for you today. Lone Star Park now has a season pass. That's right. Now you can enjoy the excitement of being at the horse races every day for one great price. This limited time offer is good for general admission every race day in 2024 for both thoroughbred season and quarter horse season. 5 buddy passes to bring friends or family out, and 5 program coupons. You can pick up your season pass at the ticket upgrade counter on the first level for just $100. Supply is limited, so make sure to get yours today. The horses are ready. Are you?
Hey, you. Yeah, you. Sitting and watching the races. Where's your swag? You don't got none. How can you even call yourself a true fan without the genuine article, Lone Star Park swag? I don't think so. Why don't you go mosey on down to the corral on the first floor? They got something for everyone. Gifts, garments, and plenty of other stuff to take a gander at. Now if that don't put a bee in your bonnet, nothing will. Still plenty of time to check out the corral. What you waiting for?
DFW's most unique dining experience is at Lone Star Park, and it's called Silks, featuring tiered panoramic views overlooking the racetrack, bedding from the convenience of your table, and so much more. Tickets are on sale now for the Thoroughbred racing season.
What's your favorite movie about horse racing?
Horse racing Secretariat.
Secretariat?
Lafitte is the movie about Lafitte. It's my favorite one.
Would have to be Seabiscuit. Seabiscuit. Yes, it's pretty accurate.
What's your favorite food?
Okay, my favorite food I can say is, I'm a Mexican, but I love Italian food. So,
Pasta. Steak.
How old were you when you began riding horses?
okay, I was 21. I know, right?
I've been in it my whole life, but I started getting on horses when I was 9.
Whether you're new to the world of horse racing or a seasoned professional, we have something for everyone here at the National Museum of Racing and Hall of Fame. From fine art to legendary artifacts, our mission is to preserve and promote the history of thoroughbred racing in America and honor the sport's most accomplished participants. Open year-round and located on Union Avenue, right across from Saratoga Racecourse, adding to the rich history surrounding the oldest racetrack in America. Visit racingmuseum.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant Sunday afternoon and welcome to Lone Star Park at Grand Prairie. 9 races today on this closing day of the thoroughbred season. Track is fast, turf course is firm. First race coming up in 23 minutes. Please wager early throughout the afternoon. At this time, we ask you to please rise if you're able. Kindly remove your caps as Ezell Clark performs our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Ezell Clark. We thank you for joining us once again here today, and we call your attention to your program for today's overweights and changes on the 9-race card. In today's first race, number 1, 25 to carry 4 pounds over. 5, In Spite of It, 1 pound over. Scratch number 7, Lasco Lady. And make the 8, Holiday Cruise, 3 pounds over. Please note that a pair of these horses had workouts that do not appear in the program. Number 1, 25. 25 worked on July 9th here at Lone Star. 3 furlongs on a fast track in 38-1. Breezing. And the 4, Tensaw Bolt worked here at Lone Star July 9th. 3 furlongs on a fast track in 38-2. Breezing. Moving ahead to the second race, scratch number 8, Verrazano's Gold. Scratch 8, Verrazano's Gold. Other changes in here. Number 2, Old Boys Club, 5 pounds over. Number 3, King of the Disco races today with blinkers. Blinkers on. The 3, King of the Disco. He's also a first-time gelding. 7, Gus Cause, 4 pounds over. And both the 9 and the 10 keep up the pace in CJ's Mischief racing for the first time since being listed as geldings. Turning ahead to the third race, make the 3, Hot Gunner, 1 pound over. Scratch number 4, Prince of Mischief. Scratch 4, Prince of Mischief. Please note the 6, Warhammer, a first-time starter, will race on Lasix. 6, Warhammer will race on Lasix. 12, Multiple Opinions, is a first-time gelding and is 4 pounds over. And workouts. Number 1, WG, second to none. At a July 10th work here at Lone Star. July 10th at Lone Star, WG second to none, went 4 furlongs on a fast track and 48-1. Breezing. And the 12, Multiple Opinions, worked here July 10th. Another July 10th work. 3 furlongs on a fast track and 38 flat breezing. Pair of July 10th works in that third race for WG second to none and Multiple Opinions. Moving on to the fourth, scratch number 4, Tito. Scratch 4, Tito, and scratch 11, Lava Moon. There will be a jockey change to be announced for the 5, Mucho Macho Cam. Overweights, 8, Shaken the Monarchy, 1 pound over. 9, My Turn to Deal, 2 pounds over. And 13, Dada Boom Ridge, 1 pound over. In this afternoon's fifth race, overweights, number 2, Syllabus, 2 pounds over, and 7, Crafty Ant, 3 pounds over. The fifth race begins the pick 5. In today's sixth race, please note the 6, Tigers and Bears, and the 9, Espionage, have both been scratched. Scratch 6, Tigers and Bears, and 9, Espionage. The 11, Drive Happy, 1 pound over, and the 12, Steinbeck, 1 pound over. In today's seventh race, scratch the 3, Dulce Amanecer YG. Scratch 3, Dulce Amanecer YG from the 7th. In today's 8th, scratch number 13, B minor. Scratch 13, B minor from the 8th. And from the 9th race today, scratch number 10, Wicked Song. 10, Wicked Song scratched. Overweights here, 1, Olga's Gold Dancer, 3 pounds over. 2, Holiday Presents, 3 pounds over. 5, Take My Picture, 2 pounds over. 6, Ruby Cantu, 1 pound over. The 7, Bling It KK, 3 pounds over. And 8, On Wing, 2 pounds over. Please note the 7, Bling It KK, had a July 8th work here that does not appear in the program. July 8th, Bling at KK went 5 furlongs on a muddy track in 101 flat breezing. And the 8 on Wing, July 9th here at Lone Star. On Wing went 5 furlongs on a fast track in 104 and 4 breezing. Those are the changes at this time. First post time in 15 minutes.
Turned away from it all like a blind man. Sat on the fence, but it don't work. Keep coming up with love, but it's so sad.
All right, welcome out here to Lone Star Park this afternoon. It's going to be a great day of racing. This is the closing day of our 2024 thoroughbred season here at Lone Star Park. 9 races today. First one's coming up in 13 minutes, so let's go ahead and get right to it. This first race is a maiden race. It's for fillies that are 2 years old, and they're going to be going 5 1/2 furlongs here in the lid lifter. Scratch the number 7 horse out of this race. Lasco Lady Will Not Run is going to leave us with a field of 7 now. And the horse that I like the most is going to come from the inside rail. Number 1, 20 Cinco. This horse is up on the board right now at even money. Now, 20 Cinco has had 2 starts in her lifetime, both of them coming right here at Lone Star Park, and both of those were second-place finishes. What I like about 20 Cinco is this horse seems to get out there in the front from what we've seen from the last 2 races and try to lead it most of the way around the racetrack. But what I don't like is that in both of those races, this horse was caught toward the end for those second-place finishes. Another thing to think about, this race is another half furlong longer than that last race. So if 20 Cinco seems to fade down the stretch, what's going to happen here when they go a little bit longer? I don't know, but I'm going to go ahead and roll the dice and pick 20 Cinco as my top horse here in the first race. Second choice, I went with number 4. That is Tinsa's Bolt. Much like 20 Cinco, this horse has had 2 starts so far in her career, has the same trainer as 20 Cinco as well, and Steve Asmussen. Now, Tinsa's Bolt, last time out, was up there toward the front, finished 3rd in that race, a 2nd before that. So the horse has been up there on our track, up there for the minor awards. We'll see if the 3rd time is not the charm for Tinsa's Bolt here.
Number 6, Secret Verse, is going to be my third choice here. Just like my other two picks, 2 races. I always like horses that have a little bit of experience, especially going up against some first-time starters or some that have limited racing experience. Now, last time out, Secret Verse ran second in that race. That was right here at the 5-furlong distance. They're going to go a little bit further today, but the interesting thing about that last race, the winner of that one, Stilettos, just knocked it out of the park that day, won by 16 3/4